Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Damage Report under lockdown and on Friday, which means we have Brett Erlich with us, host of the Happy Half Hour. How's it going?
For all
Brett?
you happy half hour stands out there, I'm pretty excited about this week's show because Ida Rodriguez joins us.
What?
She drinks something that was delivered to her house that she opened and was like, I'm going to
What?
drink it. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to drink it.
Mhm.
And we go through the more out of necessity. If you watch her show at noon Pacific today on her YouTube channel, which I think Charlemagne's joining her today, then it'll all make sense after. Yeah, so Truth Serum with Ida, follow her on YouTube at noon Pacific.
Yeah.
It'll be happening.
Okay.
And then
Well, that
3
sounds
Eastern.
fun.
And then follow and then watch us at after post game today.
Yeah.
Right here.
That sounds pretty good. Well, thank you for joining us. We're hoping to have a show that's at least half as fun and twice as informative. That's what we're going for. We're going to do our best. Everybody who is already in the chat, thank you for joining us. I know that you had to deal with like a 5-minute period of us not there, no audio, no video, but thank you for sticking through without any sound. If you are here, and wow, many of you are, please hit the like button. We want people to know that the stream is going on. We've got a pretty big news day. There's been some brutal videos going around, going viral last night. We're going to be talking about those. We've got tons of news, and also, of course, it's Friday, so we're going to be doing our garbage people. And I know that, Brett, I know you have a video. I didn't look at it yet, so I don't know who yours is. Mine is ridiculous. I'm just going to say that.
Okay, John.
So stick
What a
around,
great
everybody.
tease. John, you're such a tease.
It's ridiculous.
Can
That's
I
all I'm saying.
And what I just brainstormer, what can I do to create as much time between now and when we eventually show this first video, because it is a soul crusher.
Yeah.
Sorry, I killed
It's what
the mood.
we signed up for. So
Sorry,
we're
do
gonna
this.
press
Just ask
on.
my wife. I kill the mood.
I will only put it off for an extra 15 seconds or so to say, hit the like button, like I already said. Also, chat along, super chat along. We'll be reading those. And finally, I did want to let you know, these graphics never show up well when I try to screen cap it like this, but Brooke Thomas, her podcast, Controlling Our Narrative, has a new episode. She talks about why 1,000 health experts signed an open letter explaining why protests against systemic racism must be supported. That is now available in all of those places where podcasts are available. So go take a look at Controlling Our Narrative with Brooke Thomas, big friend of the show. Anyway, let's get back to the news. Brett, buckle up. The news is what it is. Video went viral out of protests in Buffalo yesterday when cops callously and casually pushed over an elderly man who became severely injured as a result of it. We're going to show you this video. Obviously, it is, like many of these videos going around, hard to watch, so consider yourself warned.
He's bleeding out of fear. He's bleeding out of fear. He's bleeding out of fear. Get him better. What the fuck are you walking up on me?
Okay, so you've more than likely seen that. He was immediately bleeding out of his ear immediately after he had come up. People believe that he was returning a lost riot helmet to the cops. I'm not sure if that's the case, but he certainly wasn't violent. He is a 75-year-old man who got in their way, and so they pushed him over
And
it was nothing.
It's difficult for me to I always try to wrap my mind around the other side's point of view. And here, it's hard for me to do that. Because what you want out of your police is just like good, effective, people-saving police that makes any sense whatsoever. And nothing about the way they handled that guy made any sense to me. And nothing about the way they handled the moments after he's on the ground bleeding made any sense to me. It did for a second. It made sense for a second when you hear that thing, that moment that happens in a lot of videos people see online when something terrible happens and there's that sound, that, oh, that very real, terrifying sound that is natural when people respond and just go, oh, whoa, this is actually bad.
Yeah.
But then what happened after that it immediately didn't make any more sense to me, because the person who is saying push him, who seemed to be in charge of what was happening at the moment, you see on the faces of what seemed to be good cops for a flash of a second, you see them be human. And then after that, they stop.
Yeah, there was like a brief second where the cops seemed to think, oh, we need to check on him. And then the others were like, no, just continue. And eventually someone does go over to him. Look, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Before we get to the analysis, I have to show you the other angle on this. I don't know if this has been seen as widely. It has been available since last night. And so I'm gonna show this to you, but you need to understand that this is even more difficult. So this is my warning to you. The sound of his head hitting the pavement is just...
And
look, couple things. So, like, is this the most shockingly, purposefully violent thing that we've seen? No, certainly not. I mean, people have died. And we've seen video of cops running after people and viciously beating them with clubs. Multiple people beating a woman yesterday who apparently was fighting back after being groped. The thing that hits me about this is it's so casual and callous. Get out of my way, old man. And you push him over. This isn't even the first time we've seen an old person being pushed over. They knocked over in one of the first nights an old man with a cane who was just on the street. No indication he was a protester. It's the idea that, like, you standing in front of us for whatever reason, we don't have to be concerned about you at all. We can just push you over. It is the lack of regard for what they're doing and the damage that can come from it.
Yeah.
It makes me sick.
And I understand. Again, I'm trying to be empathetic here. Like, the cop, and I've heard this from multiple cops and from other people in law enforcement, is a cop responds and shows up on everyone, you know, this is a saying, this isn't my saying, but they say the cops show up on everyone's worst day. That's they're going there to everybody's worst day. Okay, I get it. Like, so does a doctor. So does a surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Does the surgeon then have a license to be like, oh, this is so intense, gonna do something terrible? No. And is any of that on display there? Is that necessary in that moment? And not just that, there's someone saying, push him. That's push him back. That's what they're chanting at other cops.
Yeah.
And then in the wake of the moment when the man's head hits the floor, the cop who is behind it, the person pushing the person, then says, go get those two.
Yeah. And
what did those two people do in the background? Say, is he okay? He's bleeding from his ears.
Yeah.
What's bad about that? And I mean, the question, I mean, let's design what we want from the police department. Like, I definitely don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want police to show up at a peaceful protest and make it not peaceful. And that's the kind of stuff that has happened. And I need that, and we all need that to stop. And that's just in response to something that's different, which is systemic racism. Now we're like talking about how to handle the reaction, and we haven't even gotten to the core issue yet. But folks are pointing out, like, the themes, the problems with police culture that are creating both the original issues of police brutality against unarmed black men who are just minding their business after starting off at age 0, getting people having their parents pull them aside and say, like, you can't just mind your business. That's not enough.
Yeah.
And now it's boiled over into like cross-racial demonstrations that turn into more police brutality. We're trying to find the through line, and I think people have said it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, people have been attacking the protests as illegitimate from the very beginning. If you're going to make that case, man, there's a lot that you have to ignore every day. Now, a lot of people in the comments have been asking what ended up happening to the man. As far as we know, he was injured, was in serious but stable condition. That is the latest that I have seen. But we also have the narrative coming out of the police. So in an initial statement about this, the police said that the man tripped and fell after a skirmish with police. Tripped and fell. Later that Thursday evening, Police Commissioner Byron Lockwood said that 2 officers were suspended after reviewing the video, which showed the man being shoved to the ground and then walked past by officers. That the mayor said, there's no attempt to mislead about that whole tripped and fell thing. Apparently how the situation was being observed, it was observed from a camera mounted behind the line of police officers, the captain is saying. Afterward, they got that video. Okay, but the whole thing blew up because of that video. We had all already... Like, you put out that statement to a public who uniformly already knew what had happened. How were the police the only ones who didn't know what had happened at that point?
They did. He knows. I mean, he was involved in pushing the guy.
Yeah.
The police officer who said, go get those guys and push him back, way back. That dude... is this his force caused the fall. Mm-hmm. And this is that is the that is one that in this situation, that is a face of the problem.
Yeah.
And it's systemic. It is, I mean, and what you saw was a microcosm, and you described it well as, is this the most like overt, like I'm pushing someone, but it does get to the culture, which is we're going to protect these guys now. Mm-hmm. And we are going to get so far away from the original mission, which is to protect and serve. And it sounds like all that they're protecting and serving is each other, mm-hmm. and not us. And that's not allowed.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if that video, if the 2 videos hadn't been available, what would have happened? Would anything have happened?
Right. And then
would they have admitted it? We don't know. It's speculation. But we don't know.
So central to law enforcement too, all the way through like prosecutions and convictions is surveillance. Mm-hmm. And they like it when it's good surveillance, but they hate it when it's bad surveillance. So does everyone.
Yeah.
So does everyone.
Yeah, and look, I just want to briefly show this.
Relative to
like that we've had people who've been sending in like instances of the cops in their areas not doing stuff like this. Taking a knee, dancing, things like that. And that is obviously far preferable to what we're seeing. But I want to draw your attention to a tweet I saw last night that pointed out that this came 24 hours after that. Mm-hmm. That's the same spot. And they had been kneeling. And they had been, I guess, understanding. And one day later... casually pushing someone over because he dared to stand in their way.
And then afterwards, not being a person.
Not being a person.
All of it. Every aspect of it. And then you just hear prosecutions like, after you knew you were implicated in a crime, what did you do? Did you come forward? No. Did you further cover it up? Yes. Why can't they suffer the same consequences as normal people?
Yeah.
It's because they have a really dope police union. Mm-hmm. You know, that's it. Like I've talked to people in Los Angeles who are involved in work for the DA's office who say that they can't get a list of bad sheriffs because the union's so strong.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that keeps coming up as one of the biggest like obstacles to any sort of reform. It's not the only one. I mean, the fact that we're going to get to, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. We have lots of other news that we're going to get to. Let's briefly touch base with what people are saying online. A lot of people sending in super chats about this.
Can I just say, Kat writes, he fell, classic story of an abusive relationship. That's a great...
Oh. sort of the classic. Yeah. Zane sent a super chat saying, super croissant leader with eggs and bacon. I think that's a reference to Emperor Palpatine, but I'm not sure. But thank you for the super chat. Matthias says, did you see the Monmouth poll data? I'm not sure which that is. I did see a poll that had Biden and Trump literally tied in Texas, but I think that was PPP.
I definitely saw one that said that he dropped with evangelicals by a huge margin since March.
I mean, to give him credit, he's been doing everything he can to. David Lucero, thank you. Zane says, woohoo, garbage people with Brett Erlich. Hope you like it. Last week we had the rare Anna Kasparian garbage people, and now Brett is back to fill the bin. Osborne says, today a garbage can may not be enough for garbage person of the week. You may need a landfill. Yeah. Kimberly says, love catching the live stream. TDR trash day. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate having you here. And if Harvey says, these past 2 weeks have been a weird 200 years, you guys. You know you are not okay when you sing in your head, F the police and one love at the same time. Sister, you wish you never had. Thank you. Exactly. Steve Master says, love the show. Garbage people will be tough this week. Solidarity from the UK. Yeah, especially because, I mean, there's, that could have been. We'll see when we get to it. Hiroshi says, they say Palpatine has survived episode 9. He lives on in Rey and will make her a split personality. Perhaps, but I think she's done. And Frankie says, looking forward to this. Be careful what you wish for, but thank you. Amanda says, the sarcasm is strong with you. Thank you. And, oh, wait. Deleted that. Venetia says, John and Brett are my favorite combo. With a little dog. Thank you.
You're right about that.
We are the best. There's a lot of other super chats. We will be working through them. We try to read all that we can. We will do our best, but we do need to proceed with the news. Thank you everyone who is supporting the channel already. So let's jump to this now. Donald Trump had an impromptu press conference this morning. He called it that, although he seemed to have no interest whatsoever in questions. But there were some questionable things that happened, including this reference that Trump made to George Floyd. Now, I'm going to play this clip for you. I want you to understand that this comes almost immediately after his call for governors to stop being proud and dominate the streets. He then transitioned to this.
Hopefully George is looking down right now and saying there's a great thing that's happening for our country. There's a great day for him. It's a great day for everybody. This is a great day for everybody. This is a great, great day.
Yeah, he had praised our great Minneapolis police and said, I don't understand why anyone would run from them, because he either doesn't care about any of what led to these protests or is purposefully pretending he doesn't understand it. Invoking the name of George Floyd, while he spent the time during the memorial attacking people, including Obama, on Twitter. We're fresh off of how many more videos of police brutality. He had nothing to say about any of that. He again called for dominating the streets. Well, we showed you the video in Buffalo. They're dominating some of the streets, I guess.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. He's trying to widen your justice butthole. That's it. And it hurts the moment he says George Floyd. And this is the one that is way more than you're typically used to, because you've gotten used to a lot of stuff from Trump. But for him to invoke George Floyd's name, for that to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
This first time it's bad. And his ploy is for the next time not to be so bad. For him, he's going to try to turn George Floyd against the protesters. That's what he's going to, that's why he did what he did. And he is trying to do the following. What he's saying that about is the job numbers, because the job numbers aren't as bad as people said. And a certain job number ticked up.
I'm going to have those.
I know, but he's trying to say that this is an economic issue when it very clearly isn't.
But also it is difficult to follow his meaning when he is jumping back and forth from the protesters to the Green New Deal to George Floyd to he's jumping. He has no idea what he's trying to communicate.
No, but that's his plan. I mean, that's him. He is, when you see sumo wrestlers at the beginning, just do this. When they first start, they do the
Uh-huh.
1,000-hand slap. That's his whole strategy.
Yeah.
Is just hit you to get you off balance. And that's what he's been doing since he decided he was going to run for president.
Yeah. Well, people are feeling slapped because I don't know who heard him invoke the name of George Floyd and thought, yeah, no, he should do that, or he can
but
do that.
That's what they want to do. I mean, there's people who decide they like him, think that's okay. I mean, this is one. So often we sit there and go like, okay, I don't know if I have to point this out, but I will. You know, that instinct, you have that instinct. I've heard you say, like, do I have to debunk your argument?
Yeah.
Like, no. Hopefully George Floyd is looking down on this and smiling. I don't even know where to start with that. Like, people took to the streets to avenge his death in a way that is so intuitive. That is, hey, we should point out that what happened is wrong. And this guy, and it's not only is he using economics numbers to do it. That press conference is for the signing of the Veterans Choice Act. So he is 3 steps removed already. And he's trying to message his way out of this. Everyone needs to look around at America right now. America is bad. It is in a bad, bad situation. And he is the president. And so we need to hold him responsible for how bad things are, because he is a terrible leader. He does not have the instinct in this moment to fix anything, except maybe poll numbers, maybe.
And I would argue he's incompetent at that as well. I mean, the choices he's made over the past few months have just been horrendous. I know not everyone agrees. I personally think that he has made this into a competitive race when it did not have to be a competitive race for him. And he has stumbled his way into this. And, I mean, it's like, I know some people will say it's just, like, people are sick of hearing him. They're sick of talking about him. I know, because I am. But there are acts of police brutality playing out on the streets of American cities that they are so overwhelming in their number and brutality that even on a show like this that is literally designed just to catalog things like that, we can't catalog all of it. And his response to that, in the rare moments where he sticks his head out of the hole in the ground where he's dwelling, is to say, if you don't crush these protests, you're being too proud.
I don't get it.
More people are going to be brutalized. More people are going to die. Again, there was not a shred, there was not a fig leaf of acknowledgement that anything needs to change ever. And that is the uniform position across the right, other than Justin Amash, apparently. And maybe Murkowski. She's thinking about it. She'll get back. She'll get back to you. She'll get back someday when she's done thinking about it. Is nothing needs to change. These protests are 100% illegitimate. And those are the reasonable right-wingers, are you're all wrong. The unreasonable ones are saying you're all terrorists. And both of those opinions are on Fox News every single day. And Trump retweeted that letter, I forget exactly from who, but saying that these protesters are all terrorists, effectively.
And at the same time, these are coming... like, I can't help but laugh. These are coming from, like, there's a lot of Tea Partiers. And the Tea Party was destruction of property. Plus, like, weird racism, though. Like, they dressed as Mohawk Indians as they did it. Like, you guys are basing your movement on people who destroyed property to make a point. I'm not advocating for the destruction of property, but you guys are. Like, you are. I'm just advocating for people to say, for enough people to be in the streets to say, hey, maybe we should change things. No, definitely we should change things. And I hope that you get to a point at first of maybe we should change things.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to a couple more of these. As Brett alluded to, this press conference was intended to be him talking about the economy. And there is some positive economic news. Unemployment rate is down to 13.3%, which is an improvement. But let's put it in historical context. for recoveries, yes, we have recovered a little bit, but we're in that red line. And so maybe let's not have too big of a party just yet. Yes, for everyone who got their jobs back, about half of which are people who'd been temporarily furloughed and are being brought back, that is obviously much needed help. And it's much needed, especially since the government cared so little to help you over the past few months. So that is good. Let's acknowledge that.
Yeah. Damn, I had this. I'm trying to find it. Go for it, yeah.
Total payroll employment is still down 12.8% over the past 3 months. 19.6 million jobs on net have been shuttered across much of the economy. And I want to go to one particular part of that, because in the same way that the coronavirus has had a disproportionate impact on Black and brown people, the economic impact has similarly been like that. And while there's been some improvement in these most recent numbers, not for those communities, which was brought up to Donald Trump during his press conference by Yamiche Alcindor. And take a look how Donald Trump responded to those concerns, bearing in mind the nature of the protests going on around the country.
Black unemployment went up by 0.1%. Asian American unemployment went up by 0.5%. How is that a victory?
You are something.
How is that a victory?
Thank you very much.
Black unemployment.
She said, so why are you celebrating when these individuals who are crying out for you to recognize them are actually doing even worse? There's been a little bit of improvement for some people, but they're doing worse. You're really something, he says.
You're really something. And as he said, so Fox News helps Trump out a lot. One way they helped him out was with the placement of their lower third, which is the part of the screen that's typically down here, because it covers up the teeny tiny baby desk he's at. He sits down at the most comically tiny desk outside. It's
okay, hold on, I gotta see this. You can keep talking.
I don't think it's there. Look at Aaron Rupar. I'm gonna.
You can't say it.
Unemployment went up by 0.5.
I'll send you a thing. But essentially, it is. I want to go to this thing first, though, that I have. Stephen Moore is Trump's economic advisor. You know, the guy who thinks he's awesome because he sometimes goes on Bill Maher's show. He says, "I'm doing cartwheels in my living room." That's what he said about the jobs numbers.
Ugh.
Jim Cramer, it's stupendous, he said. Trump, George Floyd looking down and smiling. Read the country, Ron. Read the country. Because if you look around, it's obviously not good. And this shows just how detached from reality you are. There is horrible, horrible stuff happening in America. People are dying. People are getting killed. This feeling, unfortunately, is what Trump thrives on. And he's not going to change. He's not going to suddenly pivot. It would probably help him if he pivoted and came up with a different strategy. But he is, we always wonder. We talk about the Great American Experiment. The Great American Experiment now is, what if someone only campaigned the same way all the time? Bernie Sanders supporters say Bernie hasn't changed in 20 years, in 40, 50 years. And he's always been fighting for the same thing. And that's a good thing. That's integrity. But Trump has always also been doing the same thing for 40, 50 years, which is just trying to market himself. And since he got into politics 4 years ago, the guy has thrived on vitriol and division. And he hasn't changed. Probably should. Now we get to see how this experiment plays out if he continues to do the same thing, even when America is coming apart at the seams.
I'm glad that you pointed out some of those, the Jim Cramer and stuff like that. And look, like we said, anyone who gets their job back, obviously much needed, long needed. Half of the job, like I said, half of the jobs coming back, or half of the new employment is people who'd been furloughed. Half of the people who, there's tons of people who've been furloughed have not come back. And maybe hypothetically, if there had been more aid to the many small businesses, a lot of this is leisure and food and things like that. And what about the experience of those people, even the ones who got their jobs back? What has their experience been like for the past couple of months? Have they been just, hanging out at their mansions and making it rain with the $1,200 that were given to them? Like Stephen Moore and Jim Cramer, man, they had a bad period in the stock market for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That already long since recovered. But the savings that evaporated, plans to open up your own business, all of that, does that come back suddenly? Do all these people just get back their savings that they had to burn through, or the debt that they had to go in over the past 2 months? No. Are they doing cartwheels? I doubt it. And the thing is, really fast, all of these people claim to be populists. The politicians and the people on Fox who support them are supposedly against the elites. They're for the people who've been ignored, the silent Americans that the elites forget about. And weirdly, their gold-toileted billionaire is excited that the stock market's doing better and is ignoring the concerns, mainly about law enforcement, but there's a lot of other concerns that have driven people to the streets in all 50 states. I mean, when are we going to learn how much of a charade this is?
I don't know, man. I gotta find the Yamiche. I put it in. I put it in your production doc under the B block that it's in questions.
Let me see.
But like, if you bring that and mute that site, watch the desk he goes over to.
Oh my
Look at
God.
that. That's his tiny desk. Tiny desk boy. Bunker Boy's baby desk. That dude. Come on, bro.
I'd like to sign this bill. It's a very
Sign it at the
And by the
freaking
way,
podium.
What's happened to our country and what you now see, it's been happening.
Okay, no, I'm not going to listen to him. So
But
this
as
is
you saw,
again.
and when she starts asking a question, he goes, "Shh."
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I should have. So yeah, I apologize. This is the church. This is all it is. It's let's have a little photo op and pretend that things are going well. We're going to have a photo op where we're telling you that the economy is doing just fine. You don't have to worry about it. And he's signing a bill. It's like normal times. Him standing in front of a church. He has to look strong.
He's going
And
to
he's
Mount
sitting at his
Rushmore
little-
next.
Yeah, he's going to sit on a tiny little chair at it. Like all these things that are intended to make him look strong only make him look strong if you don't care about the protests and thus don't care about the fact that he's ignoring it, that he has no ability or willingness to bring people together or to fix the actual problems that America faces. If all you want is for him to sit sullenly at a tiny little desk and say little I'm allowed to say it, little bitchy things to reporters, if that's what you want, then sure, he's strong. Yeah, that's your strong man.
He sits at
How
his little
pathetic
desk.
American
Like-
fascism is.
You expect him to just like pull out his little foldy desk he got from Target. Like, okay, here's my little desk. Am I right? That thing now. Shh. And his stupid signature, which is just this.
Yeah.
He's such a turd. And the people who think he's strong, I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't even.
Oh my God. How pathetic.
I mean, baby desk,
You know what?
bunker boy.
But I've also seen a couple logos for Bunker King going around. Anyway, let's play one more clip because it actually gets into this. Donald Trump swears and will swear for the end of his days, because he will be tweeting about this for the next 5 years, that he did not flee in fear to a bunker earlier this week. I don't even care anymore. But he definitely does, because he made a reference to it today. Let's take a look.
Washington Secret Service, by the way, are unbelievable. The job they did at the White House is unbelievable. There was never any form of like, oh, gee, this sounds dangerous.
It's weird that you bring it up then. If there was never anything, then why? Like, no, we weren't sitting there scared. I wasn't, sitting in an oversized suit filled with brown material. I wasn't terrified, I swear. I was actually laughing, and all my friends were laughing too off screen.
It was so good. I went down to inspect it, and I made sure that they could inspect that my blankie was there. I wanted to make sure that they could maybe inspect me some warm milk and read me a story, and make sure that, and maybe he did. Maybe he did just go down to the basement because the toilet's better and he can flush his entire pants after he craps them.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. And he said, his lies are so bad. It's like, I inspected it 2.5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Would you hop on one leg when you went down there? That doesn't just lie simply. Lie simply. All his lies, he just keeps going back to them. It is such proof. It is such proof.
It's a pathetic move. I mean, the thing is, like, you look at it from the outside and you think, well, why would he be any better? Why would he be any stronger? Why would he be any better at lying? Why would he be any smarter when he doesn't have to be? It's like the body only gets as strong as it needs to be for the activity level you put it through. Well, your proto-fascist dictator is only as good as the base that installs him.
Yeah.
Why are Charlie Kirk's tweets so stupid? Because they still get retweeted. Why think if you don't have to?
Yeah.
Why would Trump actually be strong? Like, he
Do you
could
want an
work
answer
out.
to that?
He could get strong and look like an alpha male if he wanted to, but he doesn't need to, because the base he's trying to appeal to are weaker and stupider.
No, the fact. No. Well, no. The fact. The. I don't know. If we're putting together the equation, one of the like constants will be power. Will be the like coefficient of like of societal friction is, listen, they don't have to engage in that intellectual debate because they have the power. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. We think that if we put all the ideas out there, they will have no choice but to surrender and say, okay, that makes more sense than my point. But
well,
no.
I did think that.
I
It's
know.
gone.
I know. But I mean, like, at our core, we hope.
Yes.
Right? But that friction is just where they are hunkering down, looking at you with those little smirks they have. They're like, Trump 2020. When they yell at protesters, Trump, Trump, Trump. That little smirk is knowing that they have power.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
we got to prove that they don't. And they don't. And that's what the trolling is. That's the little capo, which is just like, I'm just messing with you because I don't have to take this seriously.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Let's read a few of these. Okay. Jason Spence says, I love your hot mic pre-games. What are you?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's impossible. That's impossible. This thing was only on when it's blinking, and it was blinking during... Oh, no.
I didn't know that you had that. No.
Oh, God.
Technical difficulties. Okay, Brett. I killed the mics. We need to figure this thing out.
John, let's figure
it
out.
We look like dummies.
Let's figure it out after I solve this problem with the itching.
Okay.
It just keeps
You gotta
spreading.
stop itching, because I'm gonna go back.
Okay, come back. Thank God
Okay.
no one heard that.
No, but they saw that. Anyway, F. Harvey says, if you feel gaslit, you've been rightly paying attention. Keep it up. We stand with you in France and all over the world. Also, yes, Ida. Thank you.
Merci.
Michael says, John, I had a premonition that one of you had a headache or some kind of pain in it behind the eye. Hope whichever of you has it feels better soon.
Actually,
Your
does
psychic
feel
senses
better.
are great.
It actually does feel much
I'm
better.
glad to hear that. Rare Find, it says, John, Brett, Persona 5 Royal was fantastic. Give it a shot when you can. Thank you. I will try. Right now, as an escape from everything, I'm playing through the campaign of the most recent Call of Duty. Manuel Lopez says, Palpatine Brett.
All of them.
Demon says, oh, there was audio before you started Palpatine. No, just because you guys were talking about the same thing doesn't mean you knew what we were talking about. Tony Fedora says, this $5 is for Brett's beard today. Looking good, my man. Got product in it today?
No, but I did like shave it into a shape, which
Nice. It looks
wife
good.
told me I messed something up, and she's right. Right here is deeper than here.
Well, you can fix that at some point. Harpsy, thank you for the keep it up. Rob Shively says, bring back Brooke. I miss her so damn much. Ah, well, at least we have the Beardsy twins here. I wonder if they stick like Velcro when they hug.
We don't hug.
There have not been a lot of hugs recently. You thought I was going to go to just me. No, I'm going to just you. AJ, thank you. Real Life Jolie says, oh man, and of course the...
Yeah.
I just want to be close to another person. Real Life Jolie says, oh man, and of course
right.
the poor old man was just trying to return the helmet that one of the cops dropped. Okay, now I apologize for the fact that I was laughing at the beginning of that, because it's of course serious. But thank you. Isabel says, you can hear the impact talking about that same video. How is he doing? Well, as we said, he is apparently in stable condition. And saying thank you as well. Joseph had said, do we know if the man was alive? Yes. Hopefully we'll have updates Luminia says, love you, John and Brett. Keep fighting for us all. Thank you. And Robert Carter had sent in a big super chat saying, hope you guys are great. You are one of the only sources I can use to quell the crazy in my family. They all watch the media and end up with ridiculous opinions. Also, please take a look at Legal Eagle's video, American Carnage at Lafayette Square. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Adrian says, thank you for all you do. Love your show. Thank you, Adrian. Love you as well. Necro says, this is how the Nazis treat people. This is how the Nazis value the life of their own people. Thank you, Necro. Chris says, hey, it's Bretter Days with our special guest, Johnny Pie. Get out of here with your nonsense.
Just colonized you.
Okay. Let's see. We're getting... Someone tweeted in... Oh, I think the breaking news from one of our producers, actually. Amazon distribution center in Redlands engulfed in flames as 3-alarm fire sends plumes of thick smoke shooting into sky. Several Amazon trucks also damaged by blaze. That's the first that I've seen of it. Thank you, Bart, for letting me know that. We will look. Okay. With that, why don't we jump back on the news? Still lots to get to.
Redlands is, yeah. Never mind.
No, continue.
California.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So as we proceeded week by week through the pandemic and the lockdowns as a result of it, one of the silver linings that people looked to was, well, at least we're polluting less, we're emitting less carbon. Maybe this will be good temporarily for the environment. And maybe it was, but based on the numbers, it wasn't good enough. Take a look at this. Globally, it was the warmest May on record, even though the economies of many countries were shut down in a way they never have really been before and probably never will be again. It was 0.7 degrees Celsius warmer than the norm on average in Europe this May. And so we had record temperatures. Let's see, you see how much more it was on average. And you also had new records for atmospheric CO2 levels. Even though things were shut down, at that point had already been shut down for 6 weeks. And then through the course of May, we still set records. So I don't want to take away people's silver lining if that's one of the things that's keeping them in this thing. But it is a reminder that while we obviously have a lot of really timely things that we're dealing with, we also have things that we're going to have to continue to fight on.
Yes, I agree. It was noticeably clearer in Los Angeles for quite some time.
Like the air quality.
The air quality was cleaner, and we do get some coming across the Pacific typically that we didn't get anymore in terms of pollution. And I will say that for the first time, I think on record, renewables outdid coal, which is a silver lining. I think in a month or a quarter, I forget. But yeah, John, more bad is happening on a global scale.
I know it's like here. I definitely noticed it. I mean, we noticed how much more you could see the hills or whatever from where we live in LA. And I did notice that while that effect seemed to be there a couple weeks into the lockdowns, it didn't seem like it continued to get better and better and better or anything like that. And, there was anecdotal information coming from a lot of different parts of the world that like mountains were visible in the distance that weren't before. And you could see the maps of pollution levels. But apparently some of those short-term changes have short-term effects, and that's it. And overall, the trend is still in the wrong direction. By the way, very timely, but at Trump's press conference, he spent quite a bit of time attacking the Green New Deal, calling it baby talk, saying we have the best air and the best water, because, of course, that's what climate change is about, is water quality. And, of course, we don't have the best air.
Which he's making worse, which he literally made worse.
Yeah, they stripped out new regulations this week. Like, under the cover of all of what's going on, they're continuing to defang the EPA.
And let me
turn
just
it
say,
against itself.
Baby talk.
Mm-hmm.
Baby talk coming from a guy. Here's a direct quote. Him talking about George. Hopefully George is looking down right now and saying, this is a great thing that happened for our country. A great day for him. A great day for everybody. This is a great day for everybody. This is a great, great day in terms of the equality. Like, that's a baby talk. This is a great day for everybody. This is a great, great day. Great day. Like, that is Muppet talk from our Muppet president. and talk about baby talk, he goes and sits at his baby desk to sign his bill.
Yeah.
I'm going to write my name.
If you had a baby and after educating it, that's the best it could do, damn the shame you'd feel.
A little tiny baby boy.
He is. Okay, just a couple more super chats, and then we wanted to take a step away from the protests and all of that, but we are going to have more on that in just a minute. Flat Nickable had sent in a super chat saying, "Hello, John and Brett. Greetings from Norway, the true north." That's funny. "Where winter is still coming in spurts. Keep on pushing for change. The whole world needs the progressives to put the U back in the S of A." I love that. Thank you.
Aww.
That's great. David, thank you.
Right now, it just S is A.
Zane says, "That's not what my chat said lovingly, John." Picking fights in the super chats. FRB says, "Power dynamics, power dynamics, power dynamics." 100%. And that could honestly be a reference to almost any of the stories that we're talking about. Okay. Lots of super chats. I apologize for those of you waiting to hear yours read. It is going to take a little bit. But first, I want to jump into this. Okay, let's get this ready. Now that protests have been going on for about a week and have spread around the country and don't seem to be backing down, and videos of brutality against the protesters are starting to spread, you are predictably hearing calls from the right that these protesters just need to be peaceful and calm down a little bit. We would totally listen if you just did that. Well, Media Matters decided to do a little bit of a mashup of how the right has responded to the most recent protests and how they responded to the kneeling in the NFL and those sorts of protests back a few years ago.
This is a serious question I have for these players that are in fact kneeling. What exactly are you kneeling for, and why have you chosen the flag and the anthem to do it?
I was reading something today where it said it's been unclear why various players have been kneeling.
Why can't they just stand? Why can't they just honor our country? Why is this happening?
There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now.
Bail reform, privatized prisons, juvenile lifers, police accountability. Those are things that guys were protesting.
It is about equality and people having the option and the freedom to speak upon things that they feel that's not unjust.
We're fighting to pass clean slate legislation in the state of Pennsylvania that would automatically seal nonviolent misdemeanor records after 10 years.
We're looking for police accountability so we can rebuild trust and work together to make our community safer.
The players have been uniform.
Okay, so I think there was a bit of miscommunication about the video, but it did demonstrate much of it. So that is how they responded back then. Saying that it was an attack against America, refusing to acknowledge the grievances when they are described. And now they are saying, well, if you just did the peaceful stuff, we would listen and presumably things would change. But it wasn't that long ago, and people haven't forgotten. There is no protest that is considered legitimate.
Right, that's it. It's an inconvenience for them, and they don't have to listen because they have the power, period. That's all that they're trying to communicate, and they are having a tougher time now making that point. There are still people, the uphill that you have to go against is hundreds of years of a system. And then also social media giving people plenty of stuff to just soothe their addled minds and tell them they're right, you're right, you're right. The other side is wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. But there are videos like the ones that everybody sees. Like everybody sees these videos of police brutality in crowds, and no one has any other, and no one has a counter argument to that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to distract you from it, but that doesn't change the problem. And they want an excuse to stop paying attention. And so their excuse to stop paying attention is, here's a video of a target on fire, and that's it. But we need to keep the focus back on this in terms of the hypocrisy, like the shut up and dribble from Laura Ingraham versus the, you know what? Drew Brees is allowed to have a point. That's it. Hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to say it's at the time of the anthem. At the time of the anthem. How about a time when America's on fire?
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I'm glad that you pointed out. If you hadn't, I would have, because we care about hypocrisy. But the thing is, like, Like, she doesn't care if we point out her hypocrisy. She would like it because she wants her fans to know that she has a different standard for white athletes than black athletes. It's not like the mask is pulled off at the end of a Scooby-Doo and she's been revealed. It was already off. Her fans want her to be nice to white conservative athletes and to attack black athletes. That's it. And the saying that, like, if you guys were just peaceful, if you just stop, if there was no looting, if there was no anything, then what exactly? What, Sean Hannity would meet up with these organizers and Trump would come out and they'd draft resolutions and everything would change. Who thinks that? These are inconvenient and scary for them, and so they want them to stop. That's it. That's the goal. Why would they stop? Why? Yeah. Let's quick poll the audience. Okay, I want you to say yes if you think that if everything just calmed down and everyone took a second, that then Mitch McConnell and Trump would come out and work with the protesters. Say yes. If you think that that's absolute BS, say BS. Okay, in the comments. Thank you. Sorry, what's up?
Yeah, but that's they're not honest actors. They're actors. Well, they're not honest actors. They definitely just want to have an audience and they want to make money off of that. And there's a lot of people out in the media landscape now, and that is their only priority. Mm-hmm. John doesn't have that priority because we just did a climate change video. And I can prove through analytics that costs us money and doesn't make us money, but he prioritizes getting the actual stories out to people that will materially affect their lives. So that's very, very real.
Well, we're gonna prove you wrong, because watch, that climate video, like all of them, is gonna get 1 million views. No,
it will not.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, if you want the views, you do yet another video about the war on Yemen. No, wait, that doesn't get views either. No. Unfortunately, people don't generally seem to care about the things that they should care the most about. But anyway, continue.
But that's it. They're if people are protesting, they'll find something wrong with it. You know, if people are protesting, Fox News will find something wrong with it. And that thing wrong with it is completely off the through line of what the protest is. So if it's a protest of police brutality during the national anthem, they'll say, well, you shouldn't do that during the national anthem. If it's a peaceful protest not during the national anthem, it'll be like, here, let me play a video of, I'm going to say the word Antifa over and over again.
Yep.
And share this hilarious Project Veritas video of me doing this.
With glasses.
I am from Antifa. And then like put over it, I look good. And then put over top of it like the Mortis of recording now video that I don't know if anyone saw, had like 25 frames per second when they did this secret video. 25 frames per second is in Britain. Like that's what they do because their plugs are different. Yeah. That's why it's 25 frames a second. It has nothing to it is absolute hogwash and stupidity, but they don't feel like they actually have to do anything. And what we need to do is stay on keep it up. And keep protesting them no matter how BS their arguments are.
I agree. Yeah, and again, not honest actors. And by the way, the chat was all BS. And then I realized if someone was joining the stream at that moment, they would not have a high opinion of the stream if everyone was just yelling at us, BS! So I'm going to think about that next time. But I do agree.
So if you think John should change, I want the poll to say, John's an idiot. If you want John to stay the same, say, John's a liar.
Those are your options, America.
Don't do that.
But yeah, the larger point is there is no protest that they would consider legitimate until it is so small that they have no need to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, Brett, we are running up against the end of the hour. Do you know what that means?
Damage time.
Let me take a look at this, because we didn't talk about this beforehand, but why don't you go first, Brett? How about that? So I will launch us into it, and then you will go first, okay? Is everyone ready?
I have a graphic and a video.
You do.
I'm going to do
You
the
do.
video first, John.
Okay. We're going to do the video, and then I'm going to find the... Yes, okay. I will go to it. Okay. Everyone, hold on to your butts. It's so hard to manage this. It's Friday, and that means it's time to take out the trash. Brett Erlich, it's time to launch a couple of people into the bin. Who's your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
There he is in full color. Sort of in blown out backlight. Drew Brees got into hot water for saying this about people protesting during the national anthem. Good timing, bud.
Hey, I'm going to go to it, but it's...
I'm talking to Drew Brees.
Oh,
Mr.
okay. I was going to say, I can only go to the
self-conscious.
videos from my shot, so super smooth.
Sounds
We're going
like
to
a
do
you
editing
problem.
magic, and then this will happen.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
So that he never at one. There's a lot wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
One specifically is if you say that we're all going to stand together, we all need to stand together and be part of the solution. Did he stop for one moment and ask himself, "Am I part of the solution?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Am I actually
he
concerned about the solution?
Am I doing anything to create a solution?" No, he didn't, and that is explicitly what was asked for in that. By people making statements, which we played earlier in the show, supporting why they're doing it. But no, Drew Brees is doing something that I've seen so many people do, which is just sit there and say, what do they even want, these rich football players? Like, well, why don't you just – they've told you. They've told you policy item after policy item. And then just shared their personal experiences. Malcolm Jenkins, who plays with Brees, he said, "I'm disappointed and I'm hurt." And he about the points that Drew made about his own grandfathers, shared something with everyone and basically said, "Hey, my grandfathers fought in that war too, and when they came back, they didn't receive a hero's welcome."
Yep.
And that for so many folks, it just has to say that it has to blow their mind unless their mind isn't open.
Yeah.
If it's open just a crack, when that thought gets in there, they have to come around. And and then Drew Brees came out and said, and he made an apology after he got blowback from LeBron James, from his teammates, from multiple people in the NFL who recently released a video that everybody should go see, just saying what the problem is. And in the wake of the apology, there's some people who said, listen, maybe he's responding to it this way because he just really hasn't had those conversations. But one of his former teammates, made this tweet, and we don't have the graphic, but it's Lamar Lewis, and he said, "Drew Brees was once my teammate, had a long intellectual talk with him in the cold tub once. Drew, you're a smart man. This ain't ignorance. This is picking a side and not caring enough to fight for justice because you're comfortable within your own bubble. Silence is murder." And it's not that he hasn't had these conversations. He's made a decision to be on one side. And it's worse because of what sports symbolizes for a city. Like, I think it's a non-zero factor in this that things are worse because there aren't sports, because there isn't that thing that we can have at least a little release on. And it's by no means a large portion of it, but it's there. And at the very least, when there is no sports happening, you would want to count on the sports figures to do something to help save America. And he's just not doing it. Instead, things like this surface. We have this photo of Drew Brees and Donald Trump in not just anywhere, but in a luxury box with the biggest watch I've ever seen. And look at the crap-eating grins.
Yep.
And not only that, but in what city does he play for? New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to, you're born yesterday if you don't think that city needs someone to be a leader in terms of racial justice. Look at me. I'm so upset that I'm
flickering.
I'm falling deeper into the matrix.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Look, I can't say anything about what he's said in the past. Don't follow him because he's an athlete. And so I don't know anything about him. But yeah, no, he knows enough to say, we need to do something else that gets us to the solution, which is good that you're one of the people that acknowledges that there's a problem that needs to be solved. But it's also possible that what you really want to get back to is the time when you weren't being forced to think about this, when it was comfortable and happy and all of that.
And man, we talked about it on the Happy Half Hour, which everybody should watch tonight, but it's just, it has to matter. I mean, it matters is the perfect word because it just needs people who have the potential to be like, I'm not affected, so I'm just going to walk away. Like, you have to keep it up until those folks, and more of them are coming around. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a more like cross-cultural series of protests than we have ever seen. So keep it up. Don't stop, because people like Drew Brees, are already rich and detached, and have had the opportunity to make up their mind about this and factor in other opinions when doing so. And it's years after Kaepernick took a knee.
Yeah.
And I am proud of America that this is a country where he still needs to face it.
Yeah. And Laura Ingraham thinks he should.
Oh, that's talking. The other thing that I think we covered is like
should talk.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cover this and try to fix my stuff.
Weird artifacting, but
Nike.
It still
Hang on,
looks
sorry,
cool.
John.
Don't worry about it. I mean, these tech
John,
problems
I
happen. People understand.
Cool.
Someday we're gonna be back in the studio, sitting at the table together, and it's gonna be the weirdest thing. Like the whole show is gonna be different.
Now.
Does everyone get that? That's gonna be so weird when that happens. I feel like it's been this way for a decade. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that was just one garbage person, and you're promised 3 each Friday. So I'm gonna give you the second. For my garbage person this week, I am going to be throwing into the bin Wolverine. Not actual Wolverine or the actor. This was just sort of the closest approximation of a trend in America that I have noticed, and it is people who are horny to become vigilantes and to throw themselves into these protests and possibly hurt or kill some people. So you had the guy with the sword in Dallas. You had the guy with the bow. I'm not sure exactly where that was. Those are weirdly medieval weapons to confront protesters with and possibly kill someone, but they're not the weirdest. I want you to take a look at this video. This happened yesterday in Queens, and take a look at what happened when a guy in a car started berating people who had been protesting. They say he had tried to hit them with his car. We don't have video of that, but here is what happened near the end.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so if you're not sure exactly what that is, that's because nobody knows exactly what that is, but he had some sort of multi-bladed glove weapon.
Sweaty Kruger.
Exactly. Now, thankfully, no one was hurt. He was identified and eventually taken in. He surrendered himself at the police, reckless endangerment, menacing, criminal possession of a weapon. But this is another individual who decided to arm themselves and go out there. And the thing is, I'm sure he thought and will say, Well, they were doing stuff, and so I had to defend myself, which is undercut a bit by you rushing after them and having that Assassin's Creed weapon on you. Why does anyone have that? Why did you have that in your car on your hand to deploy against these people who are protesting?
But, like, be a person, dude. Like, we just talked about sports, but, like, there was something that my coaches would say, which is, don't be a robot. Don't just because you saw these one time I told you to do this one thing. When you realize that it doesn't apply, you need to adjust. And think of everything that must have happened for this guy to get to the point before he gets out of his car.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting watching, and I did this yesterday. I went into someone said something like very Trumpy to me. Look at that. This boy is on fire.
There's nothing you can do about it, man. There's nothing you can do.
Thought that was off.
You tinted the color.
I can make it work. I can make it work.
Here's what we're gonna do. Here, you talk. We're gonna have graphics up for you. Give me your thoughts.
So this guy was surfing the web and ended up probably seeing a video either of Antifa from Project Veritas or something that was like some place on fire or someone's tweet about that may or may not maybe saw the tweet that proved to be fake.
It's okay,
I'm sorry,
man.
John.
You
it's
seriously
not okay.
don't have to worry
Give me
about
a second.
It's really okay.
Give me a second.
Nice.
He ended up seeing a tweet that proved to be fake from someone who was a white supremacist claiming to be Antifa, saying, let's go to the white people's houses and take what's ours. That was proven to be set up by trolls who are trying to fake everybody out and get you to go attack folks. So he got in that room, and as he's doing it, he's like wetting his knives. Like he's sharpening his knives and putting on this thing that he made, which obviously took at least 20 minutes to make. Probably days.
I mean, probably days.
It either took 20 minutes or 3 years to make this thing, right? So then he gets to the point where I'm going to drive down and I'm going to get people's up.
Yeah.
But at a point when you pull up in your Ford Explorer and you park it on the street and when you see them just standing there, you got to have a moment where you think to yourself, wow, these are just people on the street.
Yeah, I'm now running at people on the street with an insane thing that I made.
Yeah.
That's who you are. That is your identity now, is you're the person who went out looking for the first person that you felt justified to try to at least threaten, if not gut, with your weapons. I saw people saying they thought it was a punch dagger or katana. I don't think that it was either of those things. God only knows what it is. God only knows if it was real or if it was ornamental. I know it must have been absolutely terrifying for those protesters when this person comes out. But anyway, while I know, look, the Wolverine thing was a joke or whatever, this is a trend now of people wanting to get involved to attack the protesters. They want to put themselves into danger so they can justify potentially lethal force. That is a thing in America. That is what the Zimmermans are about. That's what all these people do. They put themselves in a position where they feel like they're in danger, and then anything they do can be justified. And thankfully, nobody apparently got hurt there. But when you got people with swords and bows and that guy, and there was a grandmother who tried to block a street from people with a baseball bat, this is not a good idea. You probably saw the video of protesters walking past this wall that had a bunch of white guys with AR-15s outside of it. Like, there are enough people who are willing to use their guns. There are enough people who secretly really want to use their guns. And so to have the president saying, something Second Amendment when talking about these protesters, it is going to end with people dead.
Yep.
Now, really fast, I do want to let you know that while that's Brett's Garbage Person and mine, what about all of you? Because we polled you for suggestions and then put together a poll on the community tab that this time just about 20,000 people participated in. And it looks like right now Tom Cotton got 3% of the vote as the community garbage person. Bill Barr is at 5%. Citizens attacking the protesters at 3%. So people do not agree with me. The police are at 32%. but Trump still wins with 58% of the vote. He basically always wins when he's on there. So he will not be on there next time because he was the winner. But police actually were the choice last time around. And so people are still pretty laser focused on that. And yeah, it's when you go out there and you protest, like you shouldn't be taking your life into your hands, but you just might be. And you never know where it's going to happen. I mean, these videos are not just from DC. They're not just from New York. They're from all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Brett, thank you so much for joining us. Great
Thank
to have
you.
you here. Are you going to appear in any other shows later on today? Where can people see more of you?
Happy half hour after post game today. Become a member, tyt.com/join, and follow us, HHH on TYT.
Awesome. Thank you, Brett. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
And for everybody at home, I'm going to read through some of the super chats. I'm not sure that I'm going to get to all of them. I apologize. But I will do my best. Wow. Okay. Dave Pickett says, identify every cop involved, talking about the Buffalo attack, and shun them. Do not serve them in supermarkets. Don't talk to them. They have neighbors. Let them know it's too much. Dave, thank you. Franklin says, once they give authority freedom to hurt, the insane need to take it to extremes and beyond astonishes me. Sorry, I have no limerick for such things. Makes Wyoming more attractive. Franklin, thank you. Matthias says, check out Monmouth poll. Protesters' anger justified even if actions may not be. Oh, interesting. Okay, that was our last time we had a audio-only Skype graphic come up. Let's see. Monmouth poll protesters. Okay, I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you very much. And let's see. Jake says, where can I find the other angle you played of the 75-year-old man being pushed over? I can't find it anywhere. That is a good question. I believe I can direct you to it, though. Several people have shared it. Okay, so the account that I saw it on is Liz Arenity. So Liz Arenity, like Serenity, Liz Arenity had tweeted it out in response to a Soledad O'Brien tweet about this information. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Real Life Jolie says, sorry, boys, but I'm going to have to pause this and watch later because my adorable little Dotson nephew is here to see me. Well, Real Life Jolie, I'm glad that you have something nice going on in your life. We should all be so lucky as a Dotson puppy. Brian Miller says, cops know judges won't rule against them. It's almost certain immunity, feel free reign to do whatever. Exactly. Well, the judges, and even if it gets to that point, which most of the time it does not. Charles says, old man vid shocked me to my core. Hugs my friends, 100%. All these videos. Luminia says, your whole country is being abused by the narcissist in chief. Hopefully for not much longer. Prince Surla says, the police continue to do the thing that the protests are about. It's just going to make it continue until most of America is brutalized by police. Police are over-equipped for the people, thus NRA. Thank you. Steven says, keep speaking the truth, boys. As an Australian, I can't see myself coming back to the States ever again. Now I'm on a watch list, but here's $20 to keep up the good work you are doing. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate that. And thank you to Australia. Wayne says, I just watched the Piers Morgan versus Giuliani discussion. Your thoughts? I saw a headline about it. Honestly, I'm so done with both of those individuals, but especially Piers that I didn't watch it. But good luck. Thank you, though. Ken Johnson says, MPLS council vote to abolish their police force. Really, I did not see that. I'm going to have to look that up, but thank you, Ken. Matthias says, Trump only watches Fox News. He has no idea what you're both talking about. We need to get Repubs off Fox talking to us. Yeah, that's a long fight. That's going to be a tough one. Destin says, bunker baby blimp Trump. Thank you, Destin. Justin says, which I could watch live. Happy Friday, my dude. Thank you, Justin, as always. Chris says, I recommend anyone who hasn't heard the song Get Your Riot Gear by 5 Iron Frenzy to check it out. Very relevant. Interesting, Chris. Thank you. Don't get a lot of song recommendations, but I appreciate it. Brady says, UE figures are misleading at best and cooked at worst and give GOP excuse to not implement further stimulus. Brady, you are almost certainly correct. Denkar says, according to the mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowster, the section of 16th Street in front of the White House is now officially Black Lives Matter Plaza. Yeah, I did see that, and they painted it on the street. As long as that is part of many changes, then fine. If that's the only thing, then it seems like an insult. But thank you. Max says, does anyone know if there are any law rule against Obama being Biden's running mate? If Obama ran as VP, that would be one sure way of beating Old Orange. I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't believe so. because of the line of succession, and Obama would 100% definitely not do it, but he will be a part of the campaign if that's what you're looking for. I'm sure he'll be doing many speeches. Ann K says, all I can say is thanks. Thank you, Ann. I can say the same. Thank you. Matai says, did you see the unmarked secret troops they have? Yeah, we talked about that on the show over the last 2 days. Should not be allowed. 100% needs to be outlawed. If someone is, you know, a representative of the armed forces, law enforcement, you get to ask them under whose authority they're there and who they're reporting to. You just get to, or you should. Civitas says, if we cap net wealth to $4.3 billion, Mark Cuban's net worth, every person in the United States would get over $10,000 from the proceeds. I had not heard that before. Interesting. Thank you. Franklin says, from an old burned out hippie and ancient flower power, I sure looking forward to happy half hour. Clink. Thank you. Blue Heartbox says, thank you, Brett, for saying John has an arousing voice while playing Warzone this weekend. We all agree. Thank you, Blue Heart. So we had done a little stream with each other, playing some games and talking about what was going on. We'll be doing more of that on Twitch. So if you're not already following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/TYT, do that. All the content streams there, as well as special stuff. And I can't say anything yet, except that there is something, I think, coming to Twitch. It is going to be a throwback to quite a while ago on TYT. I can't say anything. I'm just saying, maybe follow us on Twitch. No big deal. R. Plum said, my donation to the White House that has been turned into fascist la cage au folle. Please beware the... I'm not great with the French. Please beware the evolving U.S. of autocracy from Munich. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dale says, Brett, thank you so much for providing levity in these dark moments. My spirit needs it, as do I. We start off the week with Francesca. We end it with Brett because we kind of need it at both of those points. Miss Kaylee sent us in a #1 fan. Thank you, miss. I will mark that down as official. DKZ acronym says, I like the guy with the beard better. Good, I think. Zane says, is the bedhead your new look, Brett? Right front. He knows. It's uncontrollable, but thank you. Brian says, love John and Brett Fridays. Thank you. I do as well. Thomas says, you'll make a lot more money on Super Chats if you kiss again. How much more? Oh, thank you. JSK, thank you. Jade says, we demand executive orders now. 1, 3 strike you're out for police officers that have received more than 3 excessive force complaints. That seems lenient, but I get where you're going. 2, FBI investigations for all involved in killing an unarmed person. Definitely. I agree. I agree with both, at the very least. MoBaby had been searching for Amazon Fire results, and unfortunately, with the fire that we were talking about, unfortunately, Amazon Fire shows up, the tablet. That does make it more difficult. Brittany says, Trump rolling back regulations doesn't help either. 100%. Certainly not for the environment. Cal says, there was a parade of garbage people this week, John. Yeah, that's... Some weeks it is very difficult to choose. I mean, obviously, like, I would have loved to have given it to the cops that pushed over that individual, let alone any of these videos. But true. Jay says, thanks for closing the week with garbage people. Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way. JSK, thank you. Miss MDip, thank you as always. Zane says, pacification via good news for you, right? Jay Krasinski. Everybody knows that that's going to CBS All Access, I think. How weird. KL, thank you. Carson says, what the hell kind of homemade Farberware duct tape nerd glove, probably inspired by some weird medieval fantasy RPG is this thing? Probably, but let's not criticize the nerds just yet until we know for sure. Rahilio, thank you. Sage and Candle says, police seize mask for protesters. Yeah, I did see that. So there had been this big shipment of masks for people protesting so that they don't get exposed to coronavirus that was going to be shipped around the country, and the cops stopped the shipment. Totally unjustified. 100%. Stefanik said, had a friend complain that the news only covered Trump's trip to the church and ignored that Hillary was in court about her emails. Well, that does seem equally important. Tell your friend, thank you for the heads up. No, but thank you, Stefanik. 4 says, the only reason George Floyd would be looking down happily is to see that his death sparked the uprising that we needed. He's happy because he knows that he might not have died in vain. And certainly should never have died at all. But thank you. Rahilio, thank you for your super chat that just says 10. Thank you. And Phelan says the bow is in Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you. Yeah, so it's distributed all over Texas, Utah, and now in the New York area. And thank you for those who'd sent in the pictures of Black Lives Matter on the street. Let me bring that up actually so everyone can see it. A large section right near the White House. Thank you for that. Interesting. Now let's see some policy changes. Okay, and we've got a couple of messages from Twitch with Dranoa saying, rather model after Star Trek than Star Wars, but with all the evil in this world, there clearly are Sith amongst us. Yes, some wearing uniforms, some people who just support everything that they're seeing. Socially Distant said to enslave and was it destroy? On the side of the cop cruiser Destructicon. I cannot get that out of my head, especially with every video I see of cops being needlessly violent. To enslave and destroy, new motto for most police departments across the country. Until they're reformed, because obviously we need to just entirely from the ground up reboot law enforcement. Philosophically, in terms of the training, in terms of the armament, in terms of the accountability, in terms of the union, I mean, so much. And thankfully, there are a lot of people out there pushing for it who are experts in all this, and I've been doing it for a very long time. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining me on the show today. I am looking around, and unfortunately, it looks like the dogs are all outside, but thank you for the likes. I hope that you got your money's worth and your likes worth out of the video. Thank you for joining us throughout. Next Monday, Francesca will be joining me once again. And by the way, I'm going to be doing multiple interviews today that'll be going up on the channel. We've been doing interviews throughout, and so don't forget to check the channel. Watching the show gets you the whole live show's content, but there's extra interviews that go up to youtube.com/thedamagereport that you're definitely going to want to see. And with that, thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend. Stay safe out there.